Welcome to Caliber Technologies presents the Economic Times Smart Pharma Virtual Summit. The COVID-19 pandemic, as we all know, has placed healthcare systems across the world under enormous strain. Pharma companies have found themselves front and center supplying vitally important medical products to support patients in their time of need, while also attracting widespread attention as the industry sprints to develop new vaccines and treatments and to see what works and what doesn't. As we look forward to this session to be very, very engaging and a learning opportunity for all of you, we present to you our very, very interesting first speaker for the day. A very warm welcome to Professor S.S. Fasan, COVID-19 Project Leader, CSIRO Australia, and Honorary Professor, University of York, UK.
I'll be talking about virus variants and vaccines today. I started to look at the status of COVID-19. A couple of weeks ago, it was about 174 million cases, close to 4 million deaths. India is not doing too badly in terms of cases to deaths compared to some of the other countries. We need to understand how the virus evolves. We still don't know whether there was an intermediate host. There probably was. And we do know that the virus jumped into humans sometime between 6th October to 11th December 2019. And the virus continuously mutates, and it's pretty normal for an RNA virus. And the dominating mutations tend to accumulate. And what you now find is a large number of circulating clusters. So you would have heard about the so-called Delta variant from India, the UK variant, which is the Alpha variant, or the South Africa, which is the Beta variant. And then you have from Brazil, the Gamma variant. So what you have here is widely circulating clusters. Those are not the only variants. There are some 12,000 mutations known in this virus. So what this means is, as the virus mutates, the disease transmission dynamics and pathogenicity may change. When we are developing vaccines, we are going to be evaluating them in animal models. So it's really important that we work with the most representative isolates. But now what you find is many animal models are switching to the variants of concern. Now there are over 321 vaccines. I was involved in testing the Oxford vaccine and the Inovio. The Oxford vaccine is now available in India, known as Covishield. So we were one of the first groups in the world to look at intranasal administration of this vaccine in ferrets, and we showed that giving it through the nose makes it work really well. Now that study is now being taken into humans by Imperial College, and this could well be how this particular vaccine is delivered in the future if those human trials are proven to be successful. The other seminal contribution we are making at the moment is India's own product called Minvax, which is a spin-out from Indian Institute of Science in Bangalore. And it's one of the next generation vaccines, so it's not one of the early vaccines to come. So India is often accused of not testing enough. Now, one good thing about India is the testing that we do, the quality of metadata is actually quite good. So let's build on that positive. So let's continue to have very good quality metadata. What we found in this recent study we did was using the ferrets. We actually found that if you are taking the nasal washings and oral swabs, particularly compared to the rectal swabs here, you actually are able to identify which metabolites and lipids are either overexpressed or underexpressed. And that can be a very good marker for diagnostics and prognosis. And this is kind of work which is now happening in humans. Finally, wastewater-based epidemiology. In India, it's probably very difficult to enforce this in rural areas, but where you do have a shauchalaya, and in the cities in particular, you will be able to use wastewater-based epidemiology to detect for viruses as well as variants, and thereby enforce more localized lockdowns rather than locking down the entire country. So that's some of the future trends.
Quality management, especially in life sciences, pharmaceutical industries, has evolved quite significantly. There was a compulsion for a lot of companies to automate their processes. So automation is definitely the key for the quality. So when you try to automate, you are actually reducing a lot of human errors and then improving the quality by system approach by controlling a lot of transactions. In fact, the companies have looked at automating the manufacturing, which was the last thing to do for them. Last thing because education levels in manufacturing are quite low, and it is very difficult to automate that. But pharma companies have taken that as a challenge and probably the opportunity for automating the entire process of manufacturing too. Caliber has been an integral part of quality management in pharmaceuticals for last 20 years. But when I see this last 1.5 years, there is a enormous change in the way companies look at automation, and the speed of automation requirements has definitely improved. So Caliber has got a significant role, and actually we are happy to do that. Is helping the pharma companies to continue their business without interruption during this pandemic. And we have also come out with some very important tools for them, like integrated quality management. So wherein between the departments also there is no need for human interaction, or the review approval process inter-department need not be on paper. It will also be done automatically. So the integrated quality management helps them in department to department conversations, like made easy. So with that, we could actually deliver quality end to end for all the pharma companies, say whether it is India, outside India too. That helped them and helped us also to really grow to a larger extent.
We are in a collective hallucination right now that cybersecurity is different from every other type of security. Ultimately, it boils down to three things: technology, people, and process. But the foundational piece here is to have a culture of security first. This is when cybersecurity becomes a business imperative rather than being owned by the IT team alone. Finally, if we have to win against our adversaries, we have to engage all our employees in the fight.
It is not just a digitalization in silos. Indian pharma companies may need to look at a digital replica of a real-world pharmaceutical process. Products and plants, they may be end-to-end, what we call as a virtual team. This can be achieved through a platform uniting diverse stakeholders, like say scientists, designers, engineers, and others. The scientific data from the platform will enable and accelerate decision making and process intelligence and also analysis. This will also provide a single source of truth for you for regulatory compliance as well. So this will have a real transformative effect, like what has been achieved by highly demanding technical industries like aerospace and transportation.
In the past year, like IT organizations, pharmaceutical companies are also started thinking of work from home kind of option for the employees who are not directly involved into the manufacturing. And the organization started thinking of Pharma 4.0, wherein they would like to remotely do the manufacturing. So that's where the step towards that is already been started. This pandemic situation really made the pharmaceutical companies to think how they can change their business models.
Welcome back. Up next, we have Dr. Anand Subramani of AstraZeneca, who outlined a special keynote address on the theme Understanding Disease States Through Digital Sensors, Wearables for Patient-Centric Drug Development.
Today, I'll be talking about how pharma is evolving to meet the needs of patients in today's tech world. Drug development is a tedious process. It involves discovery, preclinical studies, followed by 3 phases of human studies, namely phase 1, 2, and 3. And once phase 3 is completed and successful, there is registration with the agencies such as FDA and then commercialization. So overall, this process takes about 13 years. And the cost to do this is $2.6 billion. So in the new normal of within research and development within pharma, what folks have been doing are the following. Essentially, there are a number of digital tools, whether it is apps, or whether it is sensor technologies, what can be used as digital tools in starting from clinical trials, the phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, and also in commercial. How can we really bring digital tools to once the drug is commercialized? Digital technologies have a potential to transform the way we do clinical trials. It could improve patient engagement through connected ecosystem apps. It can generate new data and also build computational tools such as artificial intelligence. In today's world, what we're doing is called trial in a box, where we bring a number of digital technologies, put them in a box, send it to patient's home with clear instructions, and the data is measured remotely using wireless means and through apps, and absolutely no HCP interference, or also no interference from any caregivers. So this is a completely paradigm shift in the way we do clinical trials. So especially in the area of cancer, this would be really a paradigm shift where early detection of cancer through digital technologies can lead to novel therapies given to patients and provide them digital health solutions even post-treatment. Digital is really here to transform and potentially improve the way we are developing medicines. Pharma has really evolved to become this huge body of people with digital scientists, technology people, traditional core pharmacists, doctors, and clinicians. So it's highly huge cross-functional collaboration. So with that, I want to leave you with a positive thought that digital technologies are really influencing the way pharma is developing drugs. And let's hope that we could really compress that 13 years into a smaller time frame and less significant dollars spent to bring novel medications to patients.
Next up, we have a session with the senior leaders of the Indian pharma industry who discussed how pharmaceutical companies are working to connect with their patients with the use of technology.
Vani, the importance of patient centricity and what it means to you both as individuals, but also from the standpoint of your organizations, respective organizations.
At the center of Boehringer Ingelheim's purpose is to create value through innovation focused on improving the lives of patients. We exist ultimately to develop and deliver life-changing treatments and health solutions to patients. Over the last 5 to 10 years, as an industry and as a company, we've made huge strides in recognizing that we cannot deliver on this purpose without a keen focus on patients and their needs. And especially in recent years, it's become even more important because aided by technology and also with the generational shifts in consumer behaviors, amongst other trends, the patient or the consumer has become much more empowered, right? And much more discerning and much more demanding on their expectations from healthcare. And to keep them happy and to deliver on their needs, we need to solve for what they are looking for, which is, if I'm to pick a few, said before, convenience, cost, affordability, access, care quality and experience, an element of control, them being able to control the treatment, and importantly, clinical health outcomes that matter to them, the patients, rather than just the clinical biomarkers we have traditionally looked at as the point to solve for.
Murtaza, I would love to hear from you your experiences on how patient centricity for you got accelerated or evolved as a result of the impact of COVID, right? And what changes and some specific examples of things that you all ended up doing.
One of the challenges we faced as the COVID started, we launched our NC molecule, MROC, right at the beginning of COVID. And very difficult to launch a new product at COVID times, and especially which is a hospital-based product where hospitalization was low and mainly the patients were COVID patients. So I think what we adopted is digital ways of reaching the physicians and the doctors. So various digital approaches, digital platforms are there. So that was one area that we looked at. And what that involved is not only the technology aspect and putting that in place, but also training our own people in terms of communication, in terms of using the technology, and in terms of getting used to the entire new way of meeting the doctors.
Satish, your thoughts on how you can leverage technology to scale up patient centricity?
One of the key questions probably all of us, in organizations should be asking ourselves is how do we create that culture? When you say culture of, patient centricity, which then becomes the core of, decision making across the organization. And then when you see, different areas, right? So even now, if I were to reflect on how, say, patient centricity is, first, obviously, it will be at the commercialization side. It's like, in the approaches which they take, where technology can be used, most of the companies are quite ahead in terms of doing that. But then if you see the R&D part itself, at the time of development of, patient-centric approaches and all that, I think companies are, kind of getting there. exploring more and more strategies. Also, it's a very significant change in approach, right? You're used to a certain way of developing products all this while, but then you say you use a patient-centric approach. You start at a different starting point, and then you develop the products, right? And then you get more learnings into it. So that's the second the wave which might happen a little bit later. And then I think ultimately, when we would feel that a company is really there, it would be more of an enterprise-wide approach, where we were saying that, it's like we're able to measure the progress that, as far as a patient centricity is concerned, that there are so many parameters on which we are able to move ahead.
What are the kind of capabilities that are needed in an organization to really drive patient-centric initiatives? And how does an organization think of scaling those capabilities up?
One thing which we might have to break through as an organization, that's what we are striving towards, is how do you bring a mindset change? Another thing that I think we need to break is the silos. There are different departments. Medical has a different objective, marketing has a different objective, supply chain has a different objective. They have departmental objectives. How do you make sure that we have a patient-centric objective and look at the outcome for a patient and bring all these departments together? And that's another skill set change that we are working on. We have set up something called as the Roche Academy in India, which is to not just look at skill sets, but also to look at mindset. When we are looking at all of this, some of the things which we need to look is how do we change our perspective as well? Many times it's just the cost. It's just the payer view or what is the cost? No, it's beyond that. It's about what is the cost to the caregiver, the patient? What is the cost to the society? We need to look at it at a broad angle. And that's when I think we will truly achieve patient centricity.
Welcome back. Our next fireside chat looked into the fact on how COVID-19 has uncovered a strong need for innovation and the adoption of digital tools, and quite successfully showcased how quickly the industry can embrace changes when it is pressured to do so. Let's listen in.
As we all know, the pandemic has turned almost all our assumptions on our head, right? Doctors are more digital than ever before. Patients are more digital than ever before. We have seen so many new different business models. So Sudarshan, you have, from your point of view, almost a bird's eye view of the industry. What do you think about what's happening right now? What are pharma companies doing? What has worked? What are some of the learnings that you have seen?
Last 15 months, we have covered around 5 years as far as the pharma industry is concerned, but still we are way beyond, way early as far as the whole game is concerned. As far as digital interaction is concerned, we are talking of WhatsApp messages, we are talking of webinars, we are talking of emails. Now, that is only a single part of the story, and I don't know what is working and what is not working in that. I believe strongly that the patient journey study is very, very important. I believe strongly that doctor's journey is very, very important. And patient journey, when I say, is awareness, diagnosis, treatment, and compliance. And where does the brand and where does the business stand as far as that area is concerned? And then work on the ICU model, which I say insights, content, and user interface. Because unless we work on insights, and unless we develop the whole integrated model and start changing the whole role of the field force from being a mere pushing of the product to account management, working on insights and developing integrated digital solutions. Last, we have to build smart organization. We have to connect the web of digital media which exist in the organization, right from rep to supply chain organization, and integrate the whole thing, keeping doctor at the center and patient at the center. And one of the great examples is we have tried Knowledge Genie, where we tried to connect with 60,000 doctors, and A-Care program, where we tried to connect everyone based on customer insight, contents, and user interface.
Sanjeev, would love to bring you in at this point. Give us some practical, on the ground learnings that you've tried in your context.
So basically what we tried to do was we redefined that who does what. And also one of the biggest things we stopped doing is stop measuring people on saying how many times did you visit the doctor and how much minutes did you spend there. I think that measurement is finished. What we try to do is tell us what insights are you gathering. Tell us what the doctor's practice is saying. Tell us what the the doctor-patient interaction is telling you today. And that kind of is starting to change behavior right in the company as well as in the field. And it's making the siloed teams in office, also the marketing and the medical teams also understand that it's no longer about trying to tell people to do what they should do, but rather, ensure that you create a platform by which you are able to interact with the community in a proper way. And therefore, we set up a system which was a little more deeper from a knowledge-based platforms. We have a portal which is more knowledge engaging, which is more sharing about real issues that are happening in the marketplace and not trying to do the traditional, rote CMEs. So all those things that we used to learn and teach and profess and ensure happen is something we had to throw out of the window. The best thing was, I think our team reacted very quickly, and what benefits we have seen is tremendous.
Rajaram, where are we going from here? What do you think the future looks like?
The way I see it is, in a very unfortunate situation, the future is actually here today. I think what happened in the last 15 months is that we got a glimpse of the future that we all have been talking about for the last many years. And that reality has actually given us a chance to look at a lot of possibilities. What we imagined that, a world where it'll be a digital connect with doctors, there'll be personalized interaction, customized content, etc., was all imagination by a lot of companies, but suddenly it's all happened now, in different forms. But apart from this, I think one point to remember is that we will still have the physician at the center. We will still have the individual rep at the center. It's going to be a this and that model, but capabilities for the future are going to be very, very different in the new one.
Lastly, Rehan Khan of MSD Pharmaceuticals put the spotlight on how global pharma is embracing digital transformation to enhance customer experience during this crisis.
Digital has already touched our lives in a significant way. The pandemic has taught healthcare professionals the need for collaboration, for innovation, speed or agility, and transformation with digital as the backbone. At MSD, our mission of improving patient lives is intertwined with one of these biggest, the digital transformation that's taking place as we speak. This digital transformation in patient care has touched every aspect of pharma value chain and has started to build significantly different patient experiences. Technologies like remote monitoring, virtual care, artificial intelligence, big data, all of these have a tremendous potential to enhance health outcomes by improving patient care and also person care. What is really happening in pharmaceuticals, in the pharma industry? Three things: voice, video, and vernacular languages. As pharma companies, we cannot afford to ignore these trends. Normally, especially in multinational pharma companies, we go out and communicate in English to our doctors, also patient education. Occasionally, we'll do one or two languages. But therefore, moving and leveraging both data, technology, mobile revolution, vernacular languages, this is significantly important. And the biggest opportunities for us is to engage and not just communicate, really engage with our patients through online, through a on-demand experience. And this has never been more critical for all of our therapies. And then let me tell you 3 or 4 areas where I think is very important for pharma companies to actively explore. Number one, how do we leverage data and analytics to drive business and clinical decision-making? Second, how can we deploy digital marketing which actually engages rather than just informs? Third, how can we leverage what's happening in India in terms of the health tech startup scene? And then finally, how do we ourselves build data and digital capabilities? And I would say that these 3 or 4 areas are very, very important for us to remain competitive. But more than that, much more important for us to serve our patients and doctors and other stakeholders well. So finally, in the pharma industry, we need to deploy digital-driven strategies that are flexible, that move quickly, that are targeted towards improving delivery of healthcare for patients in our country. And truly in that sense, then, we would put the patient at the center of what we do. And again, finally, through digital, we can make healthcare more affordable, more available, and finally more accessible to all of our fellow citizens. Thank you.
With this, we've come to the end of the show. We do hope that the Economic Times Smart Pharma Summit served as a podium for discussion, implementation on various aspects of pharmacy, experiences and innovations during the pandemic, and charted out a way forward for the industry. Thank you for watching this special coverage.